I just left Willie G's, which is a seafood restaurant. I try to have dinner with my sons on Sundays. We sit around and just talk, and this is something that we do, and we talk about just issues. It's only so much I can talk to them about, but I do engage them in real life subject matter, and I try to use the location and what's going on around us as the lead in. So today we have Willie G's. As we got in there was this nice married couple, and they had 3 children with them, 1 little boy and 2 little girls, and the boys were dressed in little sport coats, and they looked really handsome, and the little girl had a dress on. It's Sunday. Maybe they were coming from work, coming from church. I'm not sure. And then as we looked to the left, there was a young lady, and she had a strapless shirt on, tattoos all on her back, and a young man, he had tattoos all on his neck. And, and then we were there. My sons we were in our suits with black shirts. My oldest son had on a gray suit, and my youngest son, middle son, had on a black suit with some patent leather white shoes. My oldest son had some straight black shoes, and they had their watches on. I got them some Michael Kors watches about a year ago, and so they wore what they had. They put their cologne on, and they had a couple of steaks. I had the seafood, but through that time, we also talked about the proper placement of silverware and continental style versus American style, whether it be signaling to the waiter that you're ready to leave, or signaling to the waiter that you're only going to the restroom and taking a short break from your meal. But either way, they learn that there are certain things that you can do when you're eating, certain signals that you do when you have that type of etiquette training, that only other people who have that type of etiquette training would understand. They would only they would understand those signals when they saw them. So I want my sons to be able to read that language. At some point, I'll explain to them, if a person has a ring on this finger, the middle finger, the pinky finger, thumb, index finger, married finger, whichever hand, you'll learn what that person is telegraphing based on etiquette rules, But other than that, good manners, saying please, saying thank you, how to conduct yourself at a table. We've been doing this for years now. Those of you who follow me on my main Facebook page or know me in real life know that my sons and I do this on a regular basis, and we have been for probably 6 or 7 years. So much so that in some of the finer restaurants here in Houston, they know them, and they know even how they dress. We were at what was that restaurant you guys like to go to again? I always forget the name. No, the steak one. Del Frisco's. They know us so well at Del Frisco's. They expect us to come there dressed with coats and ties on, or suits. One lady, as we were passing through, she said, I didn't even know you guys didn't wear suits. At that particular day, we had just been shopping, and the boys came casual, still looking good, but casual. And she's like, I didn't even know you guys didn't dress in suits, and I take that as a compliment. But, I say all that to say, we left there, and we went to the Galleria Mall. And as we entered the Galleria Mall, the first thing we saw was a bunch of kids, probably about my boy's age. They were climbing all over the floor. They were you could just see the difference, and I think they could see the difference. And what I did was at that point, I said, see, that's the difference between class and restraint and how to conduct yourself. I already know you guys are not going to be climbing all over the floor and climbing all over these people's furniture. If you're in the mall, this classy mall, this high-end place, this multi-million-dollar complex where affluent people from all over the world come to shop, I know you guys wouldn't do that because you have class and you have restraint. So we proceed to walk. And what my boys noticed, because of how they were dressed and because our other people were dressed, mind you, these are 2 little black boys who are distinctly African-American, whatever you think. You see what I mean? They you can see these are black boys. So as we were walking by grown men, I could see grown men staring and begin to pull their pants up because they were even embarrassed. Looking at us, an older man with two young boys with him, they see how we dressed and they saw how they were dressed. And I'm sure it struck a chord. And that's why we had one guy pull his pants up. Maybe it was coincidence, maybe it wasn't, I don't know, but as we proceeded to walk through the mall, I saw a bunch of T-shirts and skinny jeans. And I understand it's Sunday, but, as we walked, people were looking. And it was not like we had signs on us that said, Gucci, Louis, Fendi, or anything like that. We just looked decent. We looked like men are supposed to look. We look like men are supposed to carry themselves. And when you do that, there's a different sort of attention that you garner. People look at that and say, oh, wow, that's class. They say it's well-dressed, even the way you carry yourself, the way you step, the way you walk. The fact that you would want to dress up and go to dinner, the fact that you clearly care about how you look and how people perceive you. But either way, we got to Michael Kors, and of course I had a wonderful conversation with the young woman in there, and I bought my boys a couple of new watches. They remember us from the last time we were there because we were dressed in a suit then. We were dressed in suits then. This time I actually bought my boys some European suits because their bodies are stretching out and growing, and they're starting to get their man frame instead of little kids frame, so they can wear the suits that are more cut and fitted. They're slender, muscular boys, and that's because of all the martial arts and jiu-jitsu and training that they do. And so because of that, we're able to complement their bodies with nice tailored suits from, what is that, Black and Blanco? Is that it? That's the name of the suit company that I found, Black and Blanco, or Blank and Blanco, which is a good suit. They make European style suits for kids. It's good stuff, but I guess, I'm a little melancholy too. There's something else going on in my life. I'm a little sad because my auntie passed away recently from cancer, and I don't know if it's complications from COVID-19, and my whole family was out there, but I had my boys, I didn't want to bring them out there to California and expose them to what could possibly be a reinfection, or myself, because I had it back in February. But either way, I'm a little melancholy about that right now. But either way, the whole point is, my boys saw the difference between, and let me explain this again. There was the guy who was, the guys, these are ignorant people. These guys with the pants hanging up, these probably are actually professionals. They could be lawyers, they could be I don't know lawyers. They obviously have, some degree of education, money, or else you wouldn't be in the Galleria, I would assume. The kids running around falling on out, clearly they come from good homes because they wouldn't have money. They got some money, they wouldn't be able to be up there. You see what I mean? But it's a class thing. So it's not about how much education you have. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about how wise you are. It's not about where you're from. Either you have class or you don't. And at some point, something happened where being Black American or being black came synonymous with low class. It's like we embraced the ratchet. We embraced the ghetto. I think it happened around about the 80s and the 90s when, the rappers and the gangsters started rapping, and then they took over and they had the, the slang and the ebonics and the pants sagging and the gangster dress and the thug paraphernalia. That then became synonymous with ghetto. Black became synonymous with hood. But before that, man, black was classy. If you look at pictures of how black men and boys dressed in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, you can see they wore suits. They dressed like my sons would dress today. They dressed like my sons are dressed whenever we go out. But somehow we lost that, And part of that has to do with the fact that, a lot of men aren't really doing that anymore. A lot of men don't take the time to put on a collared shirt, and a suit and go out and about. There was a time where a man had to present himself as respectable before he could come be with a respectable woman. But at this point, it's just like, I guess the guys are like, whatever, why should I? She's got twerk pictures on the YouTube, twerk pictures on the Instagram. Why do I have to present myself as any sort of gentleman or having some sort of character or esteem for myself with this woman, you know? And I see that, and I understand where the guys are coming from. But, you know, my thing to you guys is you don't do it for them, you do it for yourself. You know, and another thing I explain to my sons, I say, son, man, you're going to find a lot of beautiful women that are gorgeous. And I mean, they're going to have bodies that, you know, beautiful women, you know, and you might be attracted to them, and you probably will be attracted to them physically, but they're not going to want to be around you because as a man with class and dignity who carries himself in a certain way, these women are going to be kind of like repelled by you, not because you're not attractive, because in their mind, they're going to think you're better than them, which translates to, I have to, as a woman, have to step my game up to be on this man's level. That's what they're going to think. And here's the other thing. They would much rather be with a guy who has very limited expectations for them class-wise, especially someone who lets them kind of just be whoever they want to be and whatever, because it's low stress. They don't have to step their game up. It's easy pickings for them. And if he serves the same purpose as you, why not go with that? You know, so you really just need to deal with a woman who's classy, who understands that this is how I'm supposed to behave, period. You know, I'm supposed to carry myself in a certain way. I'm not supposed to have, you know, my ass poked out, you know, on Instagram and doing suggestive, freaky dances on TikTok and advertising myself. I'm not supposed to be like that. That's a sign of classlessness, you know, because no self-respecting woman is going to do that to herself, period. I mean, no real man, right? You're not going to see some real man doing something effeminate and weird on the internet. That goes against who he is as a man, right? No classy man is going to do stuff that makes him look like trash. No classy woman is going to do the same, is going to do stuff that makes her look like trash. And so you kind of have to separate yourself. You know, at some point we have to get back to the point where we have to kind of recognize that it's levels to this. That's all I'm saying. There's levels to this. Now, you guys know me, and those of you who've known me a long time, I can be as grimy as any other guy. I can be that grimy guy, do grimy stuff if I need to, you know. But, you know, there's a time and a place for that and how you behave yourself. I train my sons to be, you know, tough guys. You know, I train my sons to be literally, you know, at this point, 13 years old, you know, and 10, my boys, they can put a hurting on somebody. You know, my boys can literally put an arrow in you or a hatchet or a knife, you know, in you from 50 yards away. I've seen them fight other children their age and a little bit older in that age range, whether they were 12 and the other kids were 15, back to back to back. So they're tough kids. They're really tough, strong, mentally tough kids. And so being classy is not about being weak. It's not about being effeminate. I'm a very masculine man. I'm just classy and I have manners. You know, there's a time when I have to exercise less restraint than others, right? More so when I was younger than now, because at this age, I don't really give a shit. You know, I'm like, all right, whatever, man, you won. You know, but my boys know how to take care of themselves. They know how to handle themselves physically. If there's some sort of altercation, I put all my money on them. You know, if it's some other kid their age, I put my money on my boys. You know, so you don't think of yourself as being weak because you decide to exercise some class and dress a little with some dignity, like you care about yourself. You know, dress like, and you're not doing it for other people. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it because you want yourself to look good and feel good and smell good. I mean, if we're going to get away from how we present ourselves in public, are we going to are we going to stop brushing our teeth and putting on deodorant? Because that's the next step. Once you start dressing sloppy, you got tight T-shirts on, tight jeans, you got your butt crack showing and your underwear out, You know, I mean, what are we trying to do here? You know what I'm saying? And the crazy thing is, you could put a sport coat on that and some hard shoes, and you know, and then you kind of look, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I'm rambling a little bit, but I think you all kind of get my point. My whole point is, as men, you have to carry yourself in a certain way, and that's kind of what I'm passing down to my children. Maybe you won't go so far as knowing the difference between American style and continental style, or knowing the difference between a European cut suit and American suit, but know that you need a suit. Know that you need to exercise some degree of manners when you are out and about in public. You know, ladies, I mean, the tattoos, you know, I mean, I know y'all like the tattoos. Maybe it's cultural for you. Maybe it means something. But when I see tattoos, I don't necessarily see art. I see somebody who may have experienced a lot of trauma, or who's trying to hide something with those tattoos. And I'm not just talking to you as some guy on the internet. I'm talking to you as a trained professional who happens to be in the field of law, practicing as an attorney for 20 years. And, you know, part of my job is trying to figure out the person that's in front of me, whether it be a person I'm cross-examining, whether it's a client, you know, trying to figure out who this person, an attorney, you know, I'm trying to figure out who this person is. And I study people. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of people with a lot of tattoos, they're hiding something. They've experienced a lot of trauma. And so if I'm dating a woman like that and I see a bunch of tattoos, I have to put her in a certain category. And that's a category of short term, not to be taken seriously, you know, and that's just what I want you guys to think about. So you're telling who you are, you know, with some of the things you do. Your actions signify certain issues and that you may have. You see what I mean? So don't be so easy for me and people like me to read into you. That's all I'm saying, you know. And I mean, but anyway, you know, hey, if you like it, I promise you there's somebody out there who's happy to have you. But I'm just saying for certain type of men, and this is kind of what I'm teaching my son. Well, it's what I'm teaching my sons. Be very hesitant of women who, you know, exhibit certain classless behavior. Because remember, if you see a little bit of that while you're dating, imagine what it'd be like marrying this woman and going back to the family who taught her that. You see, because when you marry somebody or when you have a child by a woman, you're not just dealing with her, you're dealing with her whole family. So you guys are stuck together for eternity because you got this kid. Or if you're married, she's got your last name and you inherit all the issues that her family has. And I know a lot of you are like, no, you do. Because if she's dealing with it and she's your wife, then you're going to deal with it. Period. When her cousin or something does something ratchet or whatever, she's dealing with it, you're going to deal with it. Period. So even meeting someone who has a certain degree of class and elegance, you got to be careful if we're talking about marriage and contracts and having children with them, marriage contracts and having children with them, because what? You marrying into the family. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one thing. And then as far as the tattoos, I already explained that to you. So just don't do stuff to shoot yourself in the foot. Watch how you conduct yourself, you know, and this is to men and women. You know, watch how you conduct yourself in public. Being ghetto and hood is not synonymous with being black. It never was up until around about the 80s when we went hood. You know, don't allow that to drag us down. We are not ghetto. We are a classy, elegant people, you know, who built civilizations all over the world, who walked around with, you know, the best and had the best and taught and civilized the rest of the world. And along with civilization comes what you call class, being civilized as opposed to being a savage. You know, now we have women who pride themselves on being savages, and you wonder why they get shot in the foot. You've been saying I'm a savage for 2 or 3 years now. What you think happens to savages? Savages get what? They get the treatment of savages, okay? I'm not saying any names, but my whole point, you call that energy to yourself. And so when you act ratchet and hood and ghetto, you call that energy to yourself. When you act classy and elegant, you call that energy to yourself. I typically only attract women who are classy and elegant because they even though y'all see me sometimes with the dirty T-shirts on, I'm still classy. You know, I'm still a classic man, you know, and I'm just not over the top with it, you know. But anyway, man, that just was something that was on my mind. And don't be offended by what I'm saying. You know, I do this because I want my sons to grow. I would love for my sons to find some beautiful, elegant, graceful young sisters to marry. You know, I've been doing my best trying to convince them, like, you know, man, yeah, I know them other girls, they pretty, man, but you know, them black girls got good genes, right? You got the real good genes, they strong, and you're going to want your kids to be able to fight good, right? You know, I say stuff like that. I mean, I don't care what they do. As long as whoever they love, whatever woman they bring home to them, I'm going to treat them like princesses, you know. But, you know, I tell my boys these things, you know, but then when we go places and we see these little girls cutting up and acting a fool, it's like, you're not helping me. You see, you mothers out there who are raising these black girls, you're not helping me convince my little boys that they should be with black girls, okay? I want to see classy, elegant, graceful little black girls around, dressed like girls are supposed to dress, so I can say, look, son, look at that. That little lady right there, you know, look at her. Look how she's dressed. She crossed her legs. She got a nice little outfit on. It's not over the top. But that's not what y'all doing. That's not what y'all putting out there, you know? And it just, it's only so much I can do as a father, you know? To influence my sons of who they should date, because at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want to do, and the minute I tell them to do this, they better do that, then they're going to do the opposite of that, you know, and that's just the nature of men, and that's what I expect from strong, masculine, tough-minded men that I'm raising. They're going to do what's best for them. I can only hope, you know, but I would love to see some classy. I want to see some of these mamas be a little bit more classy and how they conduct themselves. And a lot of y'all are going to say something like, well, that's just who you hanging around. No, it's not. Y'all know just as well as I do that you can have an educated woman with a nice car and a nice house, and you see her out and about and she's twerking and sweaty and hair just sweaty and throwing her butt back and cutting up and acting a fool. And if you look on the internet, you can see her saying or doing hood or ratchet stuff, even if she's not hood. And that's the vast majority of our sisters, because at this point, being hood or being black is considered being down. You're not down if you're not doing something foolish like that, man. I don't like that, man, you know? And none of y'all should like that. As parents and as fathers and mothers, we shouldn't want that. We shouldn't influence that. All this ghetto hood behavior, man, what happened to class? You know, what happened to the Claire Huxtables and the Dionne Warwicks and the Cicely Tysons, and you know, what happened to those people, and the Betty Shabazes and the, you know, Coretta Scott Kings, those type of women. Those are the type of women we need, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm gonna let y'all go. God bless y'all. Love y'all. Again, I'm saying this from a place of love, but let's bring classy back. That's what I'm telling y'all. And fellas, it starts with you guys. Go spend about $100 and get you a sport coat. Pop that on with your jeans and your Stacey Adams, if that's all you're gonna get. That's a $200 outfit. You can use that a bunch of different times, and I promise you get a whole nother reaction. You know what I'm saying? You get a whole nother reaction from the public. You get a whole nother reaction from your ladies and the women, your family members, and you'll start seeing yourself different, and you'll stop expecting less. You'll start expecting more. You will raise your standards just because you have raised your standards for yourself. This is Dennis Sperling, your favorite personal injury lawyer. Uncle D to all y'all, man. I love y'all. God bless you. Have a great day.